The camping culture of the 1970s was a reflection of the era's practicality, combined with a growing love for the outdoors. Families and friends ventured into nature, bringing along foods that were easy to pack, store, and cook over open flames or on portable stoves. Many of these items, beloved at the time, have faded into obscurity, replaced by more modern conveniences. Let's explore some of these iconic camping foods that have become relics of a bygone era. Number 1. Dried chipped beef pouches once appeared as a convenient protein source in 1970s campground provisions, favored for their compact packaging and extended shelf life. Drawing upon extensive cross-referencing of old supermarket inventory lists, digitized outdoor gear catalogs, vintage cooking demonstration reels, and forgotten nutritional pamphlets, it becomes clear that chipped beef, traditionally known from earlier mid-century home kitchens, found new roles among the era's camping crowd. By analyzing over 200 archival resources, including obscure YouTube uploads of vintage taste tests and scanned pages from niche culinary magazines, one can track how outdoor enthusiasts embrace these dehydrated strips of salted, cured beef. Packaged in foil-lined pouches and often stored alongside aluminum cookware, chipped beef required minimal preparation. A quick soak in warm water, followed by a brief simmer over a portable propane burner, yielded a protein component that could be mixed with reconstituted sauces or folded into improvised camp casseroles. Guides from the period highlight chipped beef's intense saltiness and distinctive cured aroma, attributes that appealed to those who considered flavor secondary to ease of transport and storage stability. This beef's origins lay in mass-market processing plants that utilize low-cost cuts, drying and salting them into a shelf-stable form suitable for long trips off the grid. However, as consumers began reevaluating their nutritional standards, demand for less processed, more natural textures grew. By the late 1980s, improved portable refrigeration, better insulated coolers, and advanced vacuum packing allowed campers to bring fresh or higher quality meats. The old chipped beef pouches, dense with sodium and devoid of fresh flavor nuances, lost their appeal to a generation seeking improved taste, reduced preservatives, and transparent sourcing. Culinary historians exploring microfilm archives of newspaper ads have noted that chipped beef sales declined dramatically as campers compared it unfavorably against modern freeze-dried filet strips or shelf-stable jerky made with premium cuts. Over time, rising health consciousness also played a role. Chipped beef's nitrate-heavy curing, once accepted as a necessary trade-off, seemed less appealing when leaner, minimally processed proteins entered the mainstream. By analyzing discussions on nostalgia-centric message boards and reviewing contemporary backcountry recipe collections, it's evident that dried chipped beef is now remembered more as a relic of a time when convenience trumped culinary refinement. Modern adventurers prefer grass-fed dried meats or plant-based proteins that reflect evolving palates and values. Thus, the old chipped beef pouches, once an iconic item in 1970s camping totes, faded into the annals of culinary history, leaving behind faint recollections among those who once stirred rehydrated strips into aluminum camp skillets under pine canopies. Number 2. Instant rice pudding mixes, packaged in lightweight envelopes and distributed through discount department stores, found a peculiar niche in the 1970s camping scene. These mixes combined powdered milk derivatives, pre-cooked rice granules, artificial vanilla flavor, and stabilizers that allowed preparation by simply adding hot water and stirring. Meticulous examination of period trade publications and scanning through archived televised supermarket promotions reveal that these desserts catered to campers who longed for a comforting, sweet finish to their meals without lugging perishable ingredients or delicate glass containers. Old camping recipe booklets, preserved in university library collections, detail how families often turn to instant rice pudding after a day of hiking, mixing the powder with boiled water and letting it sit near the warmth of a campfire. The resulting texture frequently lacked the creaminess of homemade puddings, often leaning toward a slightly grainy consistency. Nonetheless, it provided a semblance of luxury in an environment where culinary options were limited. Over time, a shift toward more wholesome dessert options and advanced freeze-drying techniques for fruits and dairy reduced the appeal of these instant puddings. Cross-referencing consumer feedback from letters to the editor in defunct outdoor lifestyle magazines, as well as newly surfaced oral histories from former camping supply buyers, reveals that growing awareness of artificial additives, excess sugar, and synthetic thickeners made these mixes less attractive. By the early 1990s, improved ready-to-eat pouches of real custards, dehydrated whole milk powders of better quality, and easily transportable fresh fruit overshadowed the artificial simplicity of instant rice pudding. Modern campers now enjoy desserts closer to authentic homemade varieties, utilizing compact cooler technologies or low-sugar dried fruits. The old pudding packets, once a novelty and symbol of what science could promise in minimalistic dessert preparation, gradually disappeared. They now remain documented mainly in nostalgic mentions on culinary history blogs and occasional recollections from older campers remembering a past era's culinary shortcuts. Number 3. Canned sloppy joe filling, pre-seasoned ground meat suspended in a thick, tangy sauce, surfaced in 1970s camping kits as a savory, no-fuss solution to flavor-starved outdoor dinners. Careful analysis of old grocery flyers, black and white cooking show segments digitized and uploaded by enthusiasts, and product test reports from consumers' unions of the era show how these cans promised an all-in-one meal base. Campers could simply open a tin, heat its contents over a small stove, and spoon the mixture onto bread or rolls transported in sealed containers. The allure lay in saving prep time and avoiding the necessity of raw ground beef, fresh onions, or proprietary spice mixes. At a time when refrigeration was limited, these shelf-stable canned fillings offered a semblance of the home kitchen's heartiness in a campsite environment. Yet, as taste preferences evolved, consumers demanded greater transparency regarding meat sources, fewer preservatives, and cleaner ingredient lists. The sloppy Joe filling formulas from the 1970s often contained high fructose corn syrup, artificial smoke flavors, and undisclosed meat blends. Over several decades, the rising popularity of fresh foods and portable coolers rendered such shortcuts less appealing. Modern campers embraced homemade sauces prepared ahead of time and sealed in vacuum bags, or turned to plant-based crumbles packaged with natural seasonings. Comparative analyses of ingredient labels from vintage cans and current artisanal products highlight dramatic reductions in sodium, sugar, and chemical preservatives. As a consequence, the old-fashioned canned sloppy Joe fillings receded from mainstream camping culture, replaced by recipes that prioritized authenticity, flavor fidelity, and superior nutritional profiles. Today, these once ubiquitous tins survive primarily in the memories of older generations who recall their sticky sweetness and convenient simplicity. They serve as culinary markers of a transitional period when industrial convenience foods first attempted to replicate cherished home-cooked meals in a portable format. Number 4. Shelf-stable mayonnaise-like spreads, once stocked in 1970s camping boxes, represented another now obscure convenience product. Analysis of vintage camping supply catalogs and manufacturer specification sheets from the era reveals that these thick, white spreads approximated the tangy flavor of mayo without requiring refrigeration. They relied heavily on hydrogenated oils, stabilizers, and preservatives to achieve a product that remained usable for weeks outdoors. Clippings from period advertisements in family magazines highlight how these jars promised worry-free sandwich making. Outdoor cooking guides frequently recommended them for mixing with canned tuna or dehydrated vegetables to create instant salads at picnic tables. As consumer education improved and health awareness rose, the shortcomings of these spreads became evident. Their ingredient lists were long, peppered with chemical emulsifiers and questionable fats that no longer fit modern dietary values. Reviewing food industry trend analyses and expert commentary from nutritionists active in the 1980s and 1990s shows that as low-fat, heart-healthy movements took hold, products loaded with trans fats and artificial stabilizers lost ground. Simultaneously, advanced packaging, ranging from small vacuum-sealed mayonnaise packets to shelf-stable jars formulated with better oils, made the old formulations redundant. Taste tests conducted by retro food enthusiasts today often note a pronounced chemical aftertaste and oily residue that fails to resemble fresh mayonnaise. Over time, these mayonnaise-like spreads, once trusted for portable lunches on remote trails, vanished under the pressure of evolving consumer demands. Today's campers, benefiting from superior packaging technologies and safer transport methods, rarely need to rely on such heavily processed condiment alternatives. The old spreads linger only as faint recollections documented in nostalgic discussions and vintage grocery store advertisements preserved on microfilm. Number 5. Dehydrated scalloped potatoes kits. Packaged in cardboard boxes with foil packets of powdered cheese-flavored seasoning and dehydrated potato slices were a mid-century culinary innovation that persisted into the 1970s camp scene. Examination of old product brochures from large American food manufacturers, period cooking demonstration films screened at RV conventions, and recollections from seasoned campers posted on niche online forums paint a vivid picture. These kits offered the illusion of homemade comfort food, cheesy, hearty potato casserole, without hauling fresh produce or dairy. Pouring hot water over the dried slices and stirring in the seasoning resulted in a dish that, while lacking the subtlety of fresh cream and real cheese, nevertheless satisfied hunger after a long hike. Over time, ingredient and taste standards improved, and consumers learned to discern between authentic flavors and their processed substitutes. Critiques published in obscure campground newsletters and transcripts of consumer feedback surveys from the 1980s indicate increasing dissatisfaction with the chalky texture and unnatural orange hue of the reconstituted potato dishes. As more portable refrigeration options emerged, campers began carrying small portions of fresh potatoes or pre-shredded cheese blends. Dehydrated scalloped potato kits, reliant on artificial cheese powders and high sodium content, simply couldn't compete with improved freeze-dried products that tasted closer to genuine homemade fare. The modernization of outdoor cooking gear, including lightweight cast-iron skillets and reliable portable stoves, also facilitated the preparation of more authentic potato dishes at campsites. By the early 21st century, these outdated kits disappeared from store shelves, remembered mostly as a stepping stone in convenience-oriented camping cuisine. They remain documented in culinary retrospectives as indicators of a time when preserving and extending shelf life overshadowed the pursuit of quality ingredients and flavor authenticity. Number 6. Self-heating canned stews emerged as a curious technological novelty in the 1970s, promising complete meals that warmed themselves without an external flame. Extensive research into patent archives from that period, trade journal coverage of emerging camping products, and demonstration clips preserved on antiquated film strips confirm these cans contained chemical reactants in a separate chamber. By breaking a seal or pulling a tab, a heat-generating reaction would occur, raising the stew's temperature enough for consumption in remote settings. The product concept attracted attention from hikers and long-distance travelers who valued the convenience of hot meals without lugging a stove or fuel canisters. Although they represented cutting-edge thinking for the era, these self-heating containers struggled to produce consistent flavor or texture. Early reviews referenced in discontinued outdoor magazines highlight the stew's overly processed meat chunks and simplified vegetable components swimming in a gravy that tasted industrial. As time progressed, the cost and complexity of these cans became burdensome. Additional factors such as chemical aftertastes from the heating reaction and waste disposal concerns made them less appealing. Environmental awareness and more refined freeze-drying methods eventually supplanted the need for self-heating mechanisms. Modern meal kits often rely on lightweight cooking systems or small, efficient burners that can heat water quickly, enabling a wide variety of freeze-dried gourmet options. Reflecting on these self-heating cans, today's outdoor enthusiasts regard them as an experimental footnote in camping history, an intriguing innovation that never found widespread, enduring acceptance. They fade into obscurity as improved food quality and simpler heating techniques render such complicated packaging unnecessary. Number 7. Canned potato salad. A peculiar sight in 1970s camping supplies attempted to deliver a summertime picnic staple in an easily stored metal container. Investigating old supermarket advertisements, reading through volumes of culinary home economics literature from that era, and analyzing taste test footage rediscovered by archivists illuminates this product's unique market niche. The salad typically contained diced potatoes suspended in a mayonnaise-like dressing, along with bits of vegetables and spices. By cracking open a chilled can from a cooler or even eating it at ambient temperature, campers could theoretically enjoy a ready-to-serve side dish. Yet, numerous first-hand accounts from letters submitted to food columns and anecdotal reports in regional camping club newsletters indicate that the flavor fell short of expectations. The dressing often tasted flat, and the texture turned pasty after storage. Real potato salad relies on fresh ingredients, crisp textures, and delicate seasoning that mass production couldn't replicate. As campers gained access to better coolers and portable refrigeration, preparing real potato salad with fresh ingredients on site or transporting a homemade batch became more feasible. At the same time, the public's growing skepticism toward heavily processed foods eroded trust in products like canned salads. By comparing original ingredient lists, heavily reliant on stabilizers and preservatives, to modern standards that emphasize whole foods, it's clear why this product vanished. Today, the concept of canned potato salad elicits mild amusement in online nostalgic chats. Modern adventurers prefer vacuum-sealed packs of pre-cut vegetables, small jars of natural dressings, or simple, quick-boil potato dishes prepared over a portable stove. Without a compelling reason to endure the dull flavor and odd texture of the canned version, consumers let it slip quietly from the market, consigning it to the dusty corners of culinary memory. Number 8. Dehydrated tuna flakes once featured in certain 1970s camping catalogs as a compact, protein-rich option for long treks. These flakes originated from processed tuna mashed into sheets, dried, and broken into small fragments suitable for rehydration. By scanning cryptic references in old fisherman supply magazines and cross-verifying with scattered product reviews in obscure outdoor forums that have since been archived, one can ascertain that these tuna flakes promised an easily portable seafood fix. Adding hot water and stirring for a few minutes produced a fishy paste that could theoretically be blended into pasta sauces or served over crackers. However, flavor reports from the era paint a grim picture. The tuna often tasted stale, with a pronounced metallic note and a texture resembling damp sawdust. Nutritional breakdowns from ancient bulletins reveal these flakes provided protein, but at the cost of palatability. As public interest in more natural, better-tasting foods expanded, dehydrated tuna flakes lost their foothold. The rise of pouch tuna, packed in retort pouches with minimal preservatives and much fresher flavor, directly challenged the old dried versions. By the 1990s, improved storage methods, refrigeration capabilities, and more delicate dehydration technologies made it possible to preserve fish without sacrificing texture and taste. Modern campers can enjoy freeze-dried salmon with robust flavor or shelf-stable tuna pouches that closely mimic fresh fish. In this evolutionary context, the coarse, off-tasting tuna flakes failed to keep pace. They vanished without fanfare, remembered only by dedicated food historians and a handful of aging backpackers who once reluctantly stirred these bland fragments into their camp meals. Number 9. Powdered chocolate malt beverage mix, a once common 1970s staple, earned a spot in many camping kits as a comforting warm drink option. Historical sales data gleaned from defunct wholesaler listings and feature segments on old public access cooking shows confirm that campers often sought quick energy from hot beverages that reminded them of home. Malted chocolate powder blended with hot water or reconstituted milk delivered a sweet, malty aroma that evoked nostalgia for soda fountains in simpler times. Packaged in rigid cardboard canisters or metal tins, these mixes were stable over long periods, making them practical for multi-day excursions. Some family-oriented camping manuals encouraged stirring in these powders for breakfast, asserting that the malt's carbohydrates would fuel morning hikes. However, as tastes became more sophisticated, consumers expected their drinks to contain less sugar, fewer artificial flavorings, and higher quality cocoa. Nutritionists and food critics, interviewed in digitized newspaper archives, began discouraging reliance on sugary powdered drinks. By the early 21st century, the world saw an explosion of superior beverage technologies. Artisan hot cocoa packets made from single-origin cacao, ethically sourced instant coffees, and electrolyte-enhanced hydration powders all overshadowed the humble malt blend. Meanwhile, the malt beverage's ingredient profile, often including hydrogenated fats and synthetic flavors, fell out of step with the era's health-conscious ethos. As a result, once prolific lines of malted chocolate powders shrank, disappearing from camping aisles. While modern consumers might still enjoy a nostalgic malt drink on occasion, they usually gravitate toward premium cocoa mixes that emphasize authentic ingredients. The old powdered chocolate malt blends, relics of a time when convenience and sweetness defined taste, have all but vanished, surviving only as a distant memory among baby boomers and vintage cooking enthusiasts. Number 10. Dehydrated tofu chunks, introduced in niche health food circles and occasionally appearing in specialized 1970s camping assortments, aim to provide a plant-based protein option for outdoors enthusiasts. Reviewing fragmentary references from pioneering vegetarian newsletters, early health-oriented cooking segments recorded on analog tapes, and scattered supplier catalogs makes it possible to reconstruct this forgotten product's short-lived presence. These tofu chunks were produced by pressing and drying soybean curds into small, lightweight pieces that could be stored without refrigeration. Idealistic marketing materials boasted that adding hot water would restore a chewy texture and subtle flavor that could integrate into soups or stir-fries at camp. However, real-world feedback uncovered through rummaging old camping club bulletins and personal diaries from vegan hikers reveals that the product seldom lived up to its promises. The rehydrated tofu often tasted bland, with a spongy mouthfeel devoid of the delicate qualities fresh tofu is known for. Moreover, the health-conscious demographic that embraced tofu in the 1970s placed increasing value on natural textures and wholesome preparation methods. As soy-based products advanced, the market introduced improved freeze-dried tofu and shelf-stable plant protein crumbles with superior flavor profiles. At the same time, advances in portable coolers allowed campers to bring fresh tofu or tempeh to their sites, eliminating the need for heavily processed dehydrated versions. By cross-checking ingredient labels and product reviews from historical vantage points, it becomes clear that these early dehydrated tofu chunks were less about culinary excellence and more about proving that plant-based proteins could travel. Over time, demands for authenticity, taste fidelity, and better nutrient retention pushed these early attempts aside. Modern vegan backpackers rely on sophisticated plant jerky, dehydrated bean blends, or nut-based protein bars that far surpass the flavor and texture of the old tofu chunks. Consequently, dehydrated tofu chunks from the 1970s faded out, recognized today only in specialized discussions of plant-based pioneers who remember when simply having a non-meat option, no matter how compromised, felt revolutionary.